Shauna obtained money illegally, but how did it affect her at the time? This is something the film just scratched the surface of, but there's a lot more of how she went from beauty to ashes. Let's go back a little and explain.
Off work, he was still in his uniform, and he came over to my apartment, had me shoved up against the wall, screaming at me about this move. Finally, I said, "Get out of my house," and he steps back and he looks at me and he says, "You don't have a house." And he goes on to say, "Lawyer up, I'm taking your kids." And his face was terrifying, and I knew he meant it. His family has money. I do not.
Shauna would go on to take his advice. He told her to lawyer up, and that's exactly what she did. She went searching for an attorney. Just the mere thought of her ex having custody over her kids was unfathomable. She knew she needed a good lawyer, but oftentimes a good lawyer is expensive. She did find one though, and she compared him to Harvey off of Suits, the popular Netflix series. She said he was a bulldog in court. Between his record, his swagger, and his confidence, Shauna believed completely that if he took her case, she would have primary custody of her kids. But this wasn't a pro bono case. He wanted $10,000. And suddenly, Shauna thought of a solution.
I wanted out of this hostage situation. So I went in the next day and asked him what exactly would it look like? What would I have to do? He asked me how much I needed for the attorney. I told him. He said it was easy and doable. One of my biggest fears is having my children grow up like I did in the hands of an abuser. So when that risk suddenly felt as though it appeared, I was willing to risk and do anything to protect them. So they cash apped somebody who cash apped somebody who cash apped somebody who cash apped me in smaller installments. So I do it, it's done. And I take a few weeks off work. I come back home, celebrate Thanksgiving with my family, take my kiddos to their dads, and he says, "Are you still gonna take that job in Rantoul, Shauna?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Okay, you be careful out there, sweetheart," and winked at me.
Shauna went on a fun trip after she received the money, and most people that were around her at the time thought that is what she spent the money on. However, that trip had been paid for by a friend and scheduled prior to that. What she really did with the money was fight for her children. That lawyer she hired was just as she suspected, a dog in court. He mopped the floor with her ex, and she got primary custody of her children. This is the moment the documentary doesn't cover. Shauna had defeated her ex in court and was awarded primary custody. She was happy. She was safe.
I have my kiddos. I did take them. I'm living with my mother. It's going well. Life starts to feel better.
At this point, Shauna learned there was more to the justice system than just justice. She wondered what would have happened if she didn't have money to pay for a good lawyer. But she didn't have to worry about any of that. The legal system still turned out fair, until it wasn't anymore.
My life came crashing down. So they searched my car again. They didn't find any large amounts of money in there because I used it to pay my attorney to keep my children. Sometimes
the best intentions can turn out the worst way. In the Held Hostage at Home documentary film, she's seen coming out of the court after losing. And this video is to show you that before she lost, she actually won. But if you'd like to know why she didn't just leave, or why she didn't get money another way, or why she never called the police, please watch the Held Hostage at Home documentary film. Subscribe to the channel if you would like to get updates on Shauna, audio calls from prison picture updates, and things like that. Please share the documentary, share this video. It helps.